the real reason for the retreat of the Russian troops towards the peninsula of Kherson. Now, they went from the west, left bank of the Dnieper River towards the east. They crossed the river and they retreated there. And one of the reporters, the analyst, says that this was not a defeat of the Russians, but they wanted to save their army's manpower. Unlike the Ukrainians who have NATO and they have mercenaries, of course the West doesn't really take that into account, how many will be lost on the west side of Ukraine, because they say Ukraine will fight to the last man, quote unquote. But Putin is using the Kutuzov strategy. He was a general at the time of Russia's war with Napoleon in 1812. Kutuzov was a very strategic general. He even offered the city of Moscow to Napoleon, and he saved every single man of his army, of the Russian army. So Napoleon was defeated actually by the Russian winter. This is what the strategy will be concerning Ukraine from the Russian side and Putin's side. He will use the winter to tire and defeat the Ukrainians. And as we know, they already have 50% of their energy facilities destroyed, and hardly any water, hardly any power. And of course, Zelensky is asking the West for more military aid, financial aid to support his country, every single to the last penny, and also military equipment. And the researchers believe that this is what happened. The Russians went to the east side of the Dnieper River. They blew up the bridges so that the Ukrainians could not cross over with bridges, of course. And that is the tactic they will be using, the Kutuzov tactic. That was successful in Russia, winning against Napoleon in 1812. So this is the reason, so that Russia would save their manpower, their army, and let the winter, General Winter, they call it, do the job for them. So I've translated this for you. I briefed an article for you. So this General Kutuzov strategy has been used many times by Russia. This is basically how the hubris of Hitler wanted to take over the whole world, basically, even Russia. And even the Russian winter got rid of Hitler's forces. So Mikhail Kutuzov, according to Encyclopedia Britannica, in June of 1812, Napoleon's army entered Russia. The Russians fell back before him under pressure of public opinion. Alexander, on August 9, appointed Kutuzov commander-in-chief of all the Russian forces, and on the following day made him a prince. Napoleon sought a general engagement, but Kutuzov's strategy was to wear down the French by incessant minor engagements while retreating and preserving his army. Under public opinion pressure and against his better judgment, however, he fought a major battle at Borodino, September 7. Although the battle itself was inclusive, Kutuzov lost almost half his troops and afterward withdrew to the southeast, allowing the French forces to enter Moscow. Napoleon, having failed to make peace with the Russians and being unwilling to spend the winter in Moscow, left the city in October. He tried to move southwestward, but Kutuzov blocked his attempt to proceed along the fertile southern route by giving battle at Maloyaroslavsk, October 19, and by forcing the disintegrated French army to leave Russia by the path it had devastated when it entered the country. Kutuzov destroyed his opponent without fighting another major battle. Kutuzov's troops harried the retreating French, engaging them at Vyazma and Krasnoye, and the remnants of Napoleon's army narrowly escaped annihilation at the crossing of the Berezina River late November. In January 1813, Kutuzov pursued the French into Poland and Prussia, where he died of disease. Now, what happened concerning Kutuzov? Although he received a severe hand wound and lost his eye in 1774, he participated in the Russo-Turkish War. He was a very seasoned general. When Russia joined the Third Coalition against Napoleon, however, Emperor Alexander I of Russia recalled General Kutuzov and gave him command of the joint Russian-Austrian army that opposed the French advance out of Vienna. Before Kutuzov's force could link up with Austrians, however, Napoleon defeated the latter at the Battle of Ulm. Kutuzov skillfully retreated after defeating the French at Dürnstein on November 11, 1805, and preserved his army intact. He proposed to fall back to the Russian frontier and await reinforcements, but Tsar Alexander overruled him and engaged the French army in battle at Austerlitz, December 2nd, suffering a disastrous defeat. Kutuzov was partly blamed for the disaster and was removed from his command. Subsequently, Alexander returned Kutuzov to active duty as commander of the army in Moldavia, after war had again broken out with Turkey. Kutuzov inflicted several defeats on the Turks. On May 28, 1812, concluded a Russo-Turkish peace settlement favorable to Russia. That was the Treaty of Bucharest. In June of 1812, Napoleon's army entered Russia. The Russians fell back before him. Under pressure of public opinion, Tsar Alexander on August 9 appointed Kutuzov commander-in-chief of all the Russian forces, and on the following day made him a prince. Napoleon sought a general engagement, but Kutuzov's strategy was to wear down the French by incessant minor engagements while retreating and preserving his army. Under public pressure and against his better judgment, he fought a major battle at Borodino September 7. Although the battle itself was inconclusive, Kutuzov lost almost half his troops and afterward withdrew to the southeast, allowing the French forces to enter Moscow. Napoleon, having failed to make peace with the Russians and being unwilling to spend the winter in Moscow, left the city in October. He tried to move southwestward, but Kutuzov blocked his Napoleon's attempt to proceed along the fertile southern route by giving battle at Malyoroslavsk, October 19, by forcing the disintegrated French army to leave Russia by the path it had devastated when it entered Russia. Kutuzov destroyed his opponent without fighting another major battle. Kutuzov's troops harried the retreating French, engaging them at Vyazma and Krasnoye, and the remnants of Napoleon's army narrowly escaped annihilation at the crossing of the Berezina River in late November. In January 1813, Kutuzov pursued the French into Poland and Prussia, where he died of disease. So as we see, that's a strategy that the Russians used, even in this case, burning the bridge behind them. That was the only way of the Ukrainians passing from the Dnieper River from the west bank to the east. So they're letting the winter set in. Please leave your comments and thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box below.